ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਿਮੈਂਬਰਸ ਡੇ ਮਨਾਇਆ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ। ਇਸ ਦਿਨ ਨੂੰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਸੈਨਿਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸ਼ਰਧਾਂਜਲੀ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਗਈ ਹੈ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਲਈ ਲੜਾਈ ਕੀਤੀ ਅਤੇ ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਜਾਨਾਂ ਵਾਰੀਆਂ। ਕੈਨੇਡੀਅਨ ਆਰਮਡ ਫੋਰਸਿਸ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਇਸ ਸੰਬੰਧੀ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਵੀ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਗਈ ਹੈ। ਰਿਮੈਂਬਰਸ ਡੇ ਮੌਕੇ ਸ਼ਹੀਦ ਜਵਾਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ 21 ਤੋਪਾਂ ਦੀ ਸਲਾਮੀ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਗਈ ਤੇ ਕੁਈਨ ਪਾਰਕ ਵਿਖੇ ਹਵਾਈ ਜਹਾਜ਼ਾਂ ਰਾਹੀਂ ਸਲਾਮੀ ਦੇਣ ਦਾ ਪ੍ਰਬੰਧ ਕੀਤਾ ਗਿਆ।
Hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, we gather here to mark this solemn day of remembrance as Torontonians have done for more than a century. It's easy to forget that people stood here, right here, on this very spot, 100 years ago to this day, and in the shadow of what was then a wooden cenotaph, to remember the Great War and its human cost to the families of our cities, and of course not knowing at that moment 100 years ago what was yet to come, a Great Depression, and then another, even deadlier, World War. It's that perspective that I think is important for us to remember today. We can never forget the sacrifices of the past, but neither can we assume the way ahead will be easy. As we look around the globe today, it's easy to wonder if too many people have lost sight of the lessons learned from these terrible world wars and other conflicts. We gather here today to say loudly and clearly as a city that we will not forget, we will remember, and we will go forward focused on building that better world so many have sacrificed for. C'est un jour très spécial où non seulement nous rendons hommage à ceux qui ont servi notre pays, et dans de nombreux cas en donnent leur vie, mais aussi un jour où nous rappelons également ce pourquoi ils sont battus et à quel point il est important que nous protégions ces libertés. I want to thank everyone gathered here today on Remembrance Day and those who are gathering in ceremonies across our city and across our country. Together, we honor the many who gave their lives in service to our country to protect the peace and the freedoms that we enjoy today and which are increasingly under threat elsewhere in the world. And we remember the many who served in times of war, both abroad and at home, and continue to serve today. Nearly 10,000 Torontonians lost their lives in war and conflict in South Africa, in the First and Second World Wars, in Korea, in Afghanistan, and in peacekeeping missions around the globe. Their service and sacrifice will and must always be remembered. This year, we pay special tribute to those who fought and died at Dieppe 80 years ago. In the early dawn hours of August 19, 1942, Allied forces executed a raid on the French coastal town of Dieppe. Known as Operation Jubilee, nearly 5,000 of the 6,000 troops at Dieppe were Canadian. Only 2,210 came back. Dieppe resulted in the highest number of Canadian casualties in a single day during the Second World War, and this impact was keenly felt right here in the city of Toronto. Many of the soldiers deployed at Dieppe called Toronto home, and they accounted for a quarter of the Canadian lives lost that day, making Dieppe the deadliest day in Toronto's wartime history. They were young, with an average age of 26, and some were just 18 years old. Nearly 200 families were left grieving, and their neighbors across Toronto